I fainted when I found out my husband secretly used my credit card to pay $36,000 for his sister's wedding dress. After insulting me for wanting a $50 spa day. For hours later, he said, she deserved a fairy tale. So, I wore the dress to work and you won't believe what happened next day. My name's Marla. I'm 42 years old and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. I work at a law firm as a senior admin, basically the one who knows where everything is and how everything works, even when the lawyers don't. I organize meetings, keep track of court filings, manage 5 people's calendars, and somehow still get blamed when the printer jams. I've been married to Trent Roswell for 13 years. We live in a modest neighborhood with cracked sidewalks and dogs that bark too much. Our house is nothing special, 2 stories, a small backyard, a maple tree that refuses to die no matter how hard last winter tried. I used to think it was cozy. Now it feels small. Not in size, but in the way you feel when someone you love stops seeing you. Things with Trent weren't always like this. When we first met, he was attentive. Kind. The guy who'd warm my gloves in the dryer before I headed to work, who'd call me just to say he missed me. We used to laugh. I mean, really laugh. But somewhere along the line, maybe 5 or 6 years in, things shifted. His attention dulled. Compliments turned into criticism. Why are you wearing that? Instead of, you look beautiful. Less talking, more grunting. And I did what a lot of women do. I told myself it was just a phase. Stress. Work. Family drama. All of it. But it wasn't a phase. It was the new normal. Trent's younger sister Kendra was always dramatic. The kind of woman who SCK'd all the air out of a room. Blonde extensions, fake nails, fake tan, and a laugh that made you want to chew glass. She'd been engaged 3 times before this one. Her current fiancé, Ben, seemed decent enough, but I figured he'd figure her out eventually. The wedding planning had been going on for months, mostly over Zoom calls Kendra made me sit through because apparently I'm the organized one and she couldn't keep track of vendors. I didn't mind helping at first until it became expected. Trent never asked me to help, he just told me I should. And I did. I helped pick napkin colors, proofread her invites, found her a DJ who wouldn't cost more than a used car. I did it because I thought I was being a good sister-in-law. But mostly, I did it to keep the peace. That's what I do, I keep the peace. Then came the week that changed everything. It started on a rainy Tuesday. I'd just come home from work soaked to the knees. I forgot my umbrella in the break room and Trent had taken the car without telling me. Again. I walked into the living room, where he was stretched out on the couch, controller in hand, playing some loud, violent game. Hey, I said, dropping my soggy purse by the door. Can you please clean up your cups? There's like 3 soda cans on the table. He didn't look up. I'll get it later. You said that yesterday. I was busy yesterday. Busy doing what, exactly? He finally glanced at me. What's your problem? My problem is I'm exhausted, I'm soaked, and the house looks like a frat party threw up in it. He sighed, paused the game dramatically, and stood up. You know what, Marla? You need to chill. Seriously. You're always on my case about dumb stuff. I bit my tongue. There was no point arguing when he was like this. The next day at work, my coworker Alicia pulled me aside. She's one of the few bright spots at that place, honest, funny, always wearing earrings way too big for our dress code. Girl, you look wrecked, she said. Thanks. No, like, you need a break. Me and Kira are hitting that new spa over on Grand Avenue this weekend. $50 includes a massage, wine, and those warm towels that make you feel like royalty. I perked up. 50? That's it? Yep. Come with us. Please. You need a day to decompress. That night, I asked Trent. We were eating dinner, or rather, I was eating leftover meatloaf, and he was eating fast food he picked up without asking me. Hey, I started gently. Alicia invited me to a spa day this weekend. It's just $50, and I figured, he laughed. Laughed. $50? For someone to rub your feet and serve you cucumber water. It's a massage and a facial, still sounds like a scam. You really want to throw money away like that? I stared at him. It's $50. I haven't done anything for myself in months. He waved a fry in the air. We're supposed to be saving. For what? He shrugged. Just in case. Emergencies. You never know. I wanted to scream. He spent more than that every week on takeout. But again, I let it go. That was Wednesday. By Saturday morning, I was still stewing. I opened my banking app just to check if my paycheck had posted. Instead, I found a $36,128 charge to Belle Marie Couture, Chicago. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought it was fraud. I called the boutique immediately. Hi, I said, trying to sound calm. I have a charge on my card. I didn't authorize it. The woman on the line was polite. Oh, yes. Mr. Roswell came in with his sister earlier this week. He paid in full with a card in your name. We assumed you were gifting her the dress. I think I blacked out for a second. I slid down to the kitchen floor and just sat there. Trent had used my credit card. Without asking. Without telling me. He had spent over $36,000 on a wedding dress for Kendra. I waited 4 hours for him to come home. I don't remember much of that time, just sitting on the couch, staring at the walls, gripping my phone like it was a weapon. When he walked in, holding a smoothie and humming to himself, I felt something break inside me. Hey, he said. What's up? I stood. You bought Kendra's dress with my credit card. He froze. What? You heard me. $36,000. You didn't even ask. He set the smoothie down slowly. She needed the dress. She needed the? Are you insane? She's only getting married once, Marla. She's dreamed of that dress since she was a kid. And I wanted a goddamn massage. I screamed. You made me feel guilty over $50, and then you go and spend more than my car is worth on a dress for your sister? She deserved a fairy tale, he muttered. My vision tunneled. And what do I deserve, Trent? He had no answer. I walked away before I did something I'd regret. But that night, when he was asleep, I snuck into the closet, unzipped the garment bag hanging neatly on his side of the rack, and stared at the monstrosity. It looked like a chandelier and a pastry had a baby. Beads, lace, a train longer than my hallway. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was grief. But I stripped down and I put it on. It was tight, too tight. But I made it fit. And I didn't take it off. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there in that ridiculous, heavy dress, stretched out on our guest bed, the one Trent refused to get rid of, just in case we have company, though it's mostly been used for laundry piles and arguments where I needed to slam a door. My head swam with disbelief, rage, and something else I hadn't felt in a long time. Clarity. By the time the sun rose, I was still in the dress. It was wrinkled and tight around the ribs. A bead had fallen off somewhere in the night and dug into my thigh like a thorn. But I didn't care. I looked in the mirror. Puffy eyes, yes. But I also saw something else. Someone done. I didn't say anything to Trent when I left for work. I didn't even bother changing. He wasn't awake anyway, sprawled out with the covers kicked off like a toddler. I grabbed my keys, purse, and walked out the door with that $36,000 monstrosity billowing behind me. The neighbors probably thought I lost it. I didn't care. When I walked into the office, still, by the way, in 4-day-old flats and a cardigan over the dress because I couldn't zip it all the way up, the reaction was instant. Alicia dropped her coffee. I mean, literally. It splashed all over the hallway tile. Oh my God, Marla, she whispered, rushing over. Are you? What are you wearing? The dress, I said. The dress. She blinked. Wait, Kendra's dress? Yup. People started poking their heads out of cubicles. Whispering. Phones came out. I didn't care. I walked to my desk like nothing was strange. By 10 a.m., the story was everywhere in the office. By 10:30, someone posted a picture on Reddit. I didn't even notice until Kira pulled me aside and shoved her phone in my face. Dude, this is going viral. It was a photo of me at the copy machine. Head slightly tilted, sleeves of the cardigan pushed up, paper tray open. Captioned, my coworker showed up in a $36,000 wedding dress after her husband said his sister deserved a fairy tale. This is her revenge. It had 8,000 upvotes in less than an hour. Alicia leaned over my cubicle wall, eyes wide. Girl, I know you're mad. But also, damn, you're a legend right now. I didn't do it for attention, I muttered. I know. That's what makes it badass. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was Trent. First text. What the F** are you doing? ***. Second. Did you wear the dress? Third. Answer me. I ignored all of them. At 1:15, he called. I stepped out to the parking lot and answered only because I figured it would eventually become impossible not to. What the hell is wrong with you? He hissed before I could say anything. Hi, Trent. You're embarrassing me. Do you have any idea what kind of drama you've caused? Kendra is losing it. Ben saw the Reddit post. Now she's crying, saying I ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything, I said calmly. You did. You wore her wedding dress to work, Marla. And you bought it with my credit card, Trent. You told me I was selfish for wanting a $50 massage. Then you dropped 36 grand on your sister's fantasy? You don't get to be the victim here. There was silence. Just breathing. Then, quieter, he said, she's my sister, Marla. She's had a hard life. I felt my body freeze. And I haven't? Click. He hung up. That night, I stayed late at work. Partly because I didn't want to go home, partly because people kept stopping by my desk to say something supportive. Funny. Kind. One of the paralegals, Jerome, who barely ever talks, came by and said, "I know this probably SCKs, but I just want you to know that took guts." He nodded once, gave me a granola bar, and walked away. I sat there, staring at it. I hadn't eaten all day. When I finally got back home around 9:30 p.m., Trent was in the kitchen pacing. He looked up. "Marla, no," I said, cutting him off. "Not tonight." "Please," he said, and for once, there was something like panic in his eyes. "I messed up, okay? I get it." I wasn't thinking. I just wanted to help her. I dropped my purse on the table. Help her with my money? Without asking? Then belittle me for trying to spend a fraction of that on myself? You didn't just betray me, Trent. You made me feel small. Like I don't matter. You do matter, he said quietly. Then why haven't I felt like it in years? He didn't answer. He just stood there, jaw tight, eyes darting like he wanted to say something, but whatever it was, he couldn't say it. Finally, I said, "You need to find somewhere else to stay tonight." "Wait, what? You're kicking me out now." "No," I said. "I'm asking for space. Because if I stay in this house with you, I'm going to lose every last ounce of respect I have left for myself." He stared at me. And for once, he didn't fight it. He left. Just grabbed his keys, his jacket, and walked out. I didn't cry. I went upstairs, took off the dress, hung it back in the closet, and finally, let myself exhale. The next day, I woke up to my phone exploding. Emails, DMs, comments. Apparently, the Reddit post had made its way to TikTok, then to BuzzFeed, then to an actual morning show. Someone had used it as a discussion topic. Is this woman a hero or out of her mind? I laughed until I cried. Then I turned off my phone, made myself coffee, and sat in the silence of my own goddamn house. By Sunday afternoon, my quiet little life had become something else entirely. People were messaging me nonstop. Old coworkers, college friends, even distant cousins I hadn't heard from since high school. Some sent support, some sent gossip. A few just wanted the full story, like I was some reality TV character and not a person in the middle of a life unraveling. One message stood out though. It was from Ben, Kendra's fiancé. "Hey Marla, I saw the post. Can I call you?" I hesitated. I didn't know him well, and our interactions had always been surface level. But I felt this weird responsibility to answer. We spoke that evening. His voice was calm, tired. "I had no idea," he said. "She told me the dress was a gift from a family friend." I closed my eyes. "Are you serious?" "She said some rich aunt offered to pay for it." I didn't question it. Figured maybe she cashed in a favor. "I'm so sorry," I said, genuinely. "No, don't be. You didn't lie. You didn't sneak around." There was a pause on the line. "She's been different lately." I thought it was wedding stress, but now I don't know. I didn't respond. He added quietly, "If it means anything. I think what you did was kind of brilliant. Fairytale, but brilliant." That hit me harder than I expected. I wasn't trying to be brilliant. I was just pushed too far. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd shared so many bland dinners and dead conversations with Trent, and stared at my phone. A message from Trent finally came through. "I'm staying at my brother's. I'll give you space." "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. He called once more that night. I didn't answer that either. I needed time to think. Monday morning, I went back to work. This time in normal clothes, slacks, sweater, flats. But the attention didn't stop. Every hallway conversation halted when I passed. People tried to act casual, but I saw the looks. Some were amused, some impressed, and some pitiful. At lunch, Alicia sat beside me in the break room. "You okay?" she asked. I stirred my yogurt. "I honestly don't know. You handled it like a boss." "Did I?" I asked. "Or did I just snap in public?" She leaned back. "Both. But sometimes snapping is the only way to wake people up." I let out a bitter laugh. I didn't do it to make a statement. I just didn't know what else to do. She nodded slowly. "Well, now that the world knows, what are you going to do next?" I shrugged. Breathe. Sleep. Figure out what it's like to make a decision that's actually for me. That night, I got home and did something I hadn't done in years. I sat down with a notebook. An actual, spiral-bound notebook with a pen that barely worked. And I made a list. Things I used to love before Trent. Morning walks with coffee, solo movie nights, planning trips I might not even take, painting, even if I SCK at it. Sending birthday cards to people's spa days, being alone without feeling lonely. I looked at the list and felt something twist in my chest. I had lost so much of myself trying to be agreeable. Trying to keep peace in a war zone. A few days later, a box showed up at my door. Inside was the wedding dress. Cleaned. Pressed. Wrapped in tissue paper like it had just come from the store. No note. No return address. Just the dress. I called Trent. He picked up immediately. Marla, why did you send it back? He exhaled. Because she didn't want it. I sat down. What? She said she couldn't wear it now. Said the whole wedding feels cursed. She's blaming me for that? She's blaming everyone. Me. You. Herself. I don't know anymore. He sounded tired. Defeated. She said I embarrassed her. But the truth is, I think she knows she was wrong. She just doesn't want to admit it. I didn't say anything. Look, he continued. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I screwed up. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought if I did something big for her, she'd see me as a good brother again. That maybe I could fix our family's mess. By wrecking your marriage in the process? I didn't think I was wrecking anything. That's the problem, Trent. You didn't think. We sat in silence on the line. Finally, I said, what do you want? He hesitated. I don't know. Maybe just to talk. To understand how we got here. You know how, I said. You just didn't want to see it. Another pause. I miss you, he said. Quiet. Honest. Almost pitiful. I miss me, I replied. We didn't speak again that week. Instead, I threw myself into work. Not because I needed the distraction, but because I wanted to prove to myself that I could still stand on my own 2 feet. That I could rebuild from rubble. One night, around 11 p.m., I found myself staring at the dress again. It was beautiful. Gaudy, dramatic, over the top, but undeniably beautiful. And for a moment, I imagined what it would have been like if someone had spent $36,000 on me. Not for status. Not for show. But out of love. I blinked that thought away. Then I zipped the garment bag shut and shoved it into the back of the closet. The next day, the managing partner of the firm called me into her office. She gestured for me to sit, her expression unreadable. I've been hearing things, she said. About the dress. I braced myself. She smirked. I just wanted to say, you have more backbone than most people in this building. That was the boldest damn thing I've ever seen. I stared at her. I thought I was going to be fired. Fired? She laughed. Marla, you tripled our web traffic. Clients are talking about it. They think it's hilarious. Hill, we're getting calls asking if it was part of a marketing campaign. I didn't know what to say. Take a long weekend, she added. And when you come back, let's talk about getting you out of that admin chair and into something with more influence. I left her office stunned. As I got back to my desk, Alicia was waiting with 2 coffees. Whatever that was, she said, handing one to me. You look like you just found out you won the lottery. I smiled. Not quite. But maybe I found a way to buy my own damn ticket. After that meeting with my boss, things started to change, and not just at work. I walked differently. Talked differently. It was like, after years of folding myself smaller and smaller to fit into Trent's shadow, I finally unfolded. Like I started breathing at full capacity for the first time in a decade. I took that long weekend she offered. And I didn't tell Trent. I packed a bag, booked a room at a lakeside in 2 hours north in Duluth, quiet, cozy, and totally mine. I took books I hadn't had time to read, went on walks by the water, and actually scheduled the spa day I was originally denied. I got the massage and the facial. I tipped generously. No guilt. On the second night, after a glass of Malbec and an overpriced charcuterie board, I pulled out that same notebook again. The one with the list of things I used to love. This time, I made a new list. Things I won't apologize for anymore. Taking time for myself, spending money on things that make me happy, saying no, wanting more, outgrowing people, setting boundaries, leaving the room when I'm disrespected, laughing too loud, wearing the damn dress. When I returned home that Sunday, I felt something click. I was done waiting to be seen. Trent had texted a few times while I was away. Hey, are you okay? I haven't heard from you. Can we talk when you're back? I miss us. I ignored them all. I had other plans. On Monday, I called my bank and officially opened a fraud dispute for the $36,000 charge. I explained everything. Provided the boutique's invoice, emails, photos, call logs, and yes, even the Reddit post. The customer service rep on the phone actually gasped. You wore the dress to work? Yep. That's iconic. I chuckled. Thank you. Now let's talk about reversing that charge. 2 weeks later, the bank refunded the entire amount. Turns out, using someone else's card without permission, even if you're married, is still considered unauthorized use. Especially for something that extravagant. Trent was furious. He called, left a message. You humiliated me. Now you've ruined my credit too? Do you even care what you've done? I didn't respond. Instead, I mailed him a letter. Handwritten. Dear Trent, this isn't revenge. This is correction. You broke trust. You treated me like an accessory to your sister's fantasy, not a partner. You used me. Then you belittled me. And when I stood up for myself, you blamed me for the fallout. I'm done absorbing the damage. I'm not angry anymore. I'm clear. And in that clarity, I've made a decision. I'm leaving. The house is in my name. I've already spoken to an attorney. I'm sure you'll figure things out. You always seem to. Good luck with the wedding. Marla. And then I filed for divorce. I knew it would be messy, but what I didn't expect was how many people quietly reached out, women especially, to say, thank you. Thank you for not making yourself smaller. Thank you for not swallowing it like the rest of us. Thank you for reminding us we can leave. The wedding, I heard, was postponed. Not because of me, but because Ben needed time to process things. He didn't break it off completely, but he started asking questions Kendra wasn't prepared to answer. I suspect he eventually saw the same cracks I had, the ones she tried to cover with glitter and drama. As for the dress, I had it professionally cleaned one last time. I listed it for sale online. Not just any sale. A charity auction. I titled it, The Fairytale That Funded Freedom. Proceeds went to a local women's shelter in Minneapolis. It sold for $9,600. Now, that part of my life is helping someone else get out instead of holding me in. With the money, the shelter bought new mattresses, hired a part-time therapist, and added a job readiness workshop. I visited once. Quietly. I didn't tell them who I was. But I saw the flyers for the program pinned to a corkboard in the hall and smiled. Revenge doesn't have to be fire and fury. Sometimes, it's just taking back what was stolen from you and putting it to better use. Now, I'm okay. I moved into a smaller place near the Mississippi River. It's quiet. Peaceful. I have a sunroom where I read every morning with my coffee. I started painting again. Not well, but who cares? I go to the spa when I feel like it. I even joined a yoga class with Alicia. Turns out we both hate downward dog and bond over that deeply. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm free. And I don't need a fairy tale anymore. I just need me.